K5, the home team, presents Mountain Pacific Sports Federation men's volleyball. Tonight, the Hawaii Warriors have the tough task of opening their conference season against the defending national champion, the Cardinal of Stanford. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Leahy along with Brian Suji. Welcome to our coverage of University of Hawaii men's volleyball. Stanford, a team that in 2007 was last in the MPSF. I mean, they were down in the doldrums and people had locks on them. They wouldn't let them out in public. But then they started to win. 08-09, they advanced to fourth in the MPSF. And then last year, they were able to come back and they were able to win the national championship in 2010. 7 players from Hawaii matriculated to Stanford. They populate this team, and they have been so good that they have occupied various levels of All-Americancy. And so here they are again, trying to win again. And when they come to Hawaii, they always say, boy, it's good to be home, and it's really good to play at the Stan Sheriff Center again. That irks some people, especially Hawaii fans, because everybody says, hey, wait a minute, they should be playing for Hawaii. Be that as it may, Hawaii did not start well last week. They are 0-3. That has not happened before in the MPSF. What about tonight?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Jim. This is a very talented Stanford squad that returned 4 starters from that national championship team. The local influence of Hawaii players also a big contributing factor to Stanford's success. I think it'll be interesting to see what Hawaii team shows up. Will it be the Hawaii team that came out flat against UCLA and Ball State, or will it be that competitive team that came out against Penn State? So I think either way, Hawaii wants to see a better performance this weekend than their debut last weekend in the Outrigger Invitational.
One thing about the MPSF, you may argue about men's volleyball that not enough teams play it. It's not as popular across the country as other sports. But the MPSF is the greatest conference in this country in any sport because all the teams are good, all the players on all the teams are good, and the volleyball is outstanding. When we come back, we'll get things underway. It's Hawaii against the defending national champion, the Cardinal of Stanford. Starting lineups are sponsored by Hawaiian Tel Federal Credit Union, where membership is open to all island residents. Elimai, you belong. This is the way Stanford will line up tonight. The outside hitters, Brian Cook, Brad Lawson out of Iolani, Spencer McLaughlin out of Punahou. Gus Ellis is a middle blocker. Eric Mahalski. Evan Berry is the setter. Eric Shoji, another local product out of the ILH. Shoji will be the libero. Stanford is coached by John Costi. Costi is in his 5th year. It's his 21st year on the staff. And helping him out is Ken Shibuya and Chris McLaughlin, a familiar name. For the University of Hawaii, the Warriors will start off the outside hitter Stephen Hunt, Joshua Walker, and Jonas Umloft. The middle blockers are Shane Welsh and Brennan Dyer. The setter is Nate Zemyak, and the libero is Nick Castello. They're coached by Charlie Wade. Charlie is in his 2nd year, aided by Dan Fisher, Jeff Hall, and many others. We'll be back to start this match between Hawaii and Stanford right after this. Keys to the match are sponsored by Kaiser Permanente. Live well, be well, and thrive.
Well, for the Stanford Cardinal, it's look to Lawson, one of the best outside hitters in the country this year. Brad Lawson, an Iolani graduate and one of Hawaii, a high school player of the year, is hitting around 300, averaging over 4 kills per game. You hear a lot about number 9 and us talking about him as the night progresses. And for Hawaii, when in doubt, air it out. It's one of Charlie Wade's most famous quotes. When in doubt, which means when the pass pulls the setter off the net, when the play is struggling to materialize, when there's doubt about the tempo of the set, air it out. Set the high ball to the big guns. Part of the problem last weekend is they were forcing the tempo to the fast offense on the subpar passes. So Hawaii wants to be able to recognize the difference between a tempo set and also an aired out high set.
The officials for tonight's game: Wayne Lee is the up official. Ernie Ho is on the floor. Dean Tamura and Ryan Sakagawa are the lines people. Series record is sponsored by Aston Hotels and Resorts, over 62 years of Kama'aina hospitality. So Stanford will serve. Brian Cook, 6'5" freshman from Santa Cruz, California, will serve for Stanford. That's dug up by Hunt. And the dink shot works from Zemniak.
Well, something we didn't see a lot of last weekend, and that's Nate Zemniak being offensive and taking the ball into his own hands by creating opportunities to score. Great job by Zemniak to recognize the defense for Stanford.
Zemniak, the Slovenian. Hawaii leading 1-0, just underway. Into the net, service error. We're tied at 1.
Zemniak, one of Hawaii's better servers from last season, struggling this season with a little inconsistency. He had a crucial error in Game 5 against Penn State as well.
Serving will be Gus Ellis from Corona Del Mar, California. He's a junior. Zemniak goes outside. Umlauf just solves that double block. Really ineffective that time. Mahalski and McLaughlin.
Well, a different Umlauf than what we saw last week, looking much healthier. All well from that stomach virus he suffered last weekend against UCLA.
Here's Walker, Josh Walker. 2 serving 1. That ball is dug up by Shoji. Outside it goes to Cook. And Cook is able to really put a blast on it. So we are tied at 2. Ellis serving into the net. Check that, not Ellis, but Lawson, excuse me. Hard to read that number through the netting. So Lawson out of Iolani puts it into the net. And serving for Hawaii will be number 8, Brennan Dyer. Dyer from Santa Barbara, California. 6'4", senior. Hawaii leading 3-2. Dyer serves. Dug up by Lawson. Chased down by Barry. Put over by Cook. Hawaii will respond. Umlauf, triple block. Umlauf gets it in front of a diving Shoji. And it's 4-2, Hawaii leading.
Well, play made possible by a tough serve by Brennan Dyer. You see the high set to Umlauf. Good job to recognize the triple block and simply goes over the Stanford triple block.
Dyer to serve. 4 serving 2. Shoji feeding the front. And that time McLaughlin hits it off Umlauf. That ball goes out. That's a point for McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, the 3-time Hawaii Player of the Year, tooling the outside hand of Jonas Umlauf, picking up his first kill of the night. Evan
Barry from Del Mar, California. He's the setter. He will serve. Just gets it in. Umlauf. He deposited that ball right at the knees of Evan Barry.
So Umlauf off to a hot start for Hawaii. 3 kills in 3 attempts, hitting 1,000. Something Hawaii fans like to hear, and we definitely will see more of Umlauf tonight.
Umlauf to serve. That ball dug up by Lawson. That ball is hit out. Unable to control that is Mahalski. So Hawaii leads 6-3 early going in the first set. Shane Welsh is coming to the front row for Hawaii. He joins the redhead Steve Hunt. Red curtain in the front row. Ball hit over and out. Again, it's Mahalski. Timeout has been called by Stanford. An early timeout by the defending national champion. The series record, one more time, is sponsored by Aston Hotels and Resorts. Over 62 years of Kama'aina hospitality. Hawaii leads the series over Stanford 34-31. And they lead here in the first set of this match. 7-3. Umlauf to serve for Hawaii. Big toss. Gets it in, the ball shanked, but that ball saved by Barry. Ball is put over by McLaughlin.
Great row shot by McLaughlin. The beat shot, holding on to his line shot the whole way through, and at the last second pulled the trigger and just row shotted that ball in front of Josh Walker.
Serving is Mahalski. Mahalski from Manhattan Beach, California, went to a real high school volleyball power, Mira Costa. And he will serve for Stanford. Stanford has 21 players on the roster, and they travel with 12. Mahalski serves into the net. Another service error. That's the second one for Stanford. Hawaii leading 8-4. Early going, set one. Serving will be Hunt. Hunt, the Canadian. Hits that one long. His serve, the toss, was way out in front, and he tried to compensate for it. Couldn't do it.
Way too low, and that's the time you have to just keep the ball in play with a toss that's off key like that.
McLaughlin serving. That's another service error. Butterflies, Stanford, national champions, playing, quote, at home, unquote.
Well, there are definitely some players who are very familiar with this floor, including Eric Shoji, whose father, Dave, is the head coach for the women's.
Welsh serving. Shoji goes cross court. That ball is hit by Cook and then returned. Ball goes to Lawson. Lawson took something off and then got it around the double block of Zemyak and also Dyer.
Well, this just shows how smart Brad Lawson is. He just kind of roll shots that right into the heart of Hawaii's defense in front of a diving Stephen Hunt.
Brian Cook to serve again. That's dug up that time by Hunt. Get over. Back set by Barry, and a great single solo block that time by Walker off of McLaughlin.
So McLaughlin hitting the D ball out of the back row, but Walker staying home, recognizing that he is a primary attacker and able to come up with his first block solo of the season.
Hawaii leading by 4. Zemyak to serve. Gets it in. Dug up by Lawson. Barry to Lawson. Off the block. Diving dig by Costello. Here's Walker. That ball is pumped in the air. Lawson. And a great block by Umlauf.
Well, that's going to be a great matchup for Hawaii to have Hawaii's biggest right side blocker, Jonas Umlauf, going against Lawson, who we highlighted at the beginning of the match. All Jonas Umlauf that time, shutting down the former Iolani standout.
Hawaii leading 11-6 in the first set. Serving to Zemyak. Gets it in. Dug up by Shoji. Barry sets it up down the middle. Comes Cook. And Cook is able to get it to the Terraflex. Point for Stanford. Hawaii leading by a total of 4 points.
Well, Cook, whose sister plays for the women's team and is a setter. A freshman really coming through this season for Stanford.
Ball is served by Ellis. Zemyak sets up Walker, double block. And the double block up and waiting and effective that time. You see Lawson and Mahalski.
Well, this time Josh Walker hitting from that right side, but Brad Lawson seals the line with his right hand and able to deposit that ball back on the floor for Stanford.
So Hawaii now leading by 3. John Costi out near the sideline. They call a timeout. They're going to wipe up some moisture on the Hawaii side. But Hawaii has started very, very well. Hawaii has started much better than they did in the matches last week in which they lost all 3 and were swept twice. Serving is Ellis. Ball hit over by Umlauf. That goes off the double block. That was hit off Michalski.
So great job to recognize a good pass. Nate Zemniak able to run that fast offense to the outside, where Umlauf just tools the outside block of Barry.
Serving will be Walker. Hawaii leading by 4. Walker gets it in. Shoji with a diving dig. Little joust at the net. Shoji keeps it alive, and Lawson able to twirl it off of Dyer and Umlauf.
Hawaii with an opportunity that time on a great serve, but what a set by Eric Shoji, the All-American. See him jump over that 3-meter line. As liberos are not allowed to set in front of that line, and puts up a perfect set to Brad Lawson.
Serving is Lawson, waiting for it. Zemniak goes cross court to Stephen Hunt, and that ball is hit long. Hunt was there perfectly set to really give it a ride, but that ball just took off on him, and Hawaii leading by 2. Serving again is Lawson, Costello, Zemniak, Umlauf. Umlauf looked to the center. That took the double block, kind of angling toward the center, and he went down the line.
Well, great shot by the sophomore right side attacker. You're exactly right. He did a wrist-away cut shot that caught the defenders and blockers of Stanford off guard.
Ball serving by Dyer. Ball is hit by Lawson. That's in the air by Hunt. Zemniak, ball pushed over and on his knees. Great save that time by Cook. Zemniak. Umlauf. Yes. That double block wasn't there in time. McLaughlin couldn't get there, and Michalski just was playing late.
Well, Umlauf finding success down the line. We'll see if Stanford makes the adjustment, but Umlauf burying this ball after passing the free ball perfectly to Nate Zemniak.
Hawaii leading 14-10. First set. Dyer serves. Dug up by Shoji. And that ball hit over that time by Michalski off that very short set by Barry.
Michalski, another freshman on the court for Stanford. You see his numbers so far this season, hitting .448 after a great weekend last week against BYU.
Serving is Barry. Gets it in. Dug up by Walker. Overpass. Ball comes back and down. So a mistake that time by Walker. Ball had too much on it. That opened up the possibilities for Stanford. They now trail by 2. Serving is Barry. That ball dug up by Walker. Zemniak outside to Hunt. And that ball does not get over the net. So now it is 14-13. Stanford has readjusted. Stanford has started to set up their game. More to come. This health report is sponsored by HMSA, working for a healthier Hawaii. All players healthy towards Stanford. Earlier today, there were reports that Brennan Dyer had a sprained ankle that he was working on. Apparently, he worked it out because he is playing in the lineup.
Final moments of practice on Wednesday. Dyer went up with a block with Umlauf and kind of just twisted his ankle. But Hawaii glad to see him on the court.
Serving is Barry, took something off. There's Hunt to Zemniak. Here's Walker coming up from the back row, saved by Shoji. Barry to Lawson. Lawson shows up from the back row and rips it. And we are tied at 14. And Stanford has started the engine. Serving again is Barry, in the air by Hunt. Zemniak sets up Umlauf. That is the 7th kill by Umlauf. No one else on the Hawaii team has a kill. We're at 15. We pause. So you see the Hawaii master as far as volleyball is concerned with the women's program, Dave Shoji, and his son Eric. Eric playing for Stanford. Avika finished his eligibility last year as Player of the Year. He's now playing in Finland. 15-14. Hawaii leading, and serving will be Umlauf. Umlauf with that big toss, gets it in, and that ball goes off Lawson, and then it went off McLaughlin. So the two Hawaii representatives, one from Iolani, one from Punahou, and they batter each other around in the back row.
Well, Umlauf proving to do it all, not only from the attacking portion on the net, but also from behind the service line. Right now, Umlauf is Hawaii's most deadly threat to Stanford.
Umlauf serving against Shoji, digs it up. Barry goes outside. That ball is hit by Cook, and it is out.
So again, we talked about Cook, a great beach volleyball player, but only a freshman, still coming into his own. Had 12 kills, however, last match against BYU, hitting .435 last weekend.
17 serving 14. Hawaii leading. Dug up by Lawson. That ball hit and blocked by Cook. So right there was Zemyak. Zemyak with a great solo block. However, the ball goes out, and the point goes to Stanford. Mahalski serving. Dug up by Hunt. Umlauf, that's in the air. That time by Lawson. Oh, he put up a triple block, and that time McLaughlin couldn't get by it.
Nate Zemniak doing a nice job of sealing the line for Hawaii, but Hawaii was able to get a triple block, which means all three players involved in that play will also get credit for that.
So serving will be Stephen Hunt from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 18 for Hawaii, 15 for Stanford. This is the first set. It's been interesting. Ball comes in. The ball dug up by Ellis. And misconnection. They tried to connect with Cook on the outside, and they couldn't do it. That was a bad set that time by Barry.
It's something we're not familiar seeing with the Stanford team that had Kavika Shoji, the quarterback of the team last year, gone to graduation. Barry's coming in. Still some adjustments for Barry, the junior, but his first time starting this season for the Cardinal.
Hawaii leading by 4. Hunt serves again. The ball dug up by Lawson. Outside it goes to McLaughlin. That's blocked back. Good double block that time. Ball is hit over by Cook. Hawaii struggling on the back row, and they couldn't get any altitude. Point for Stanford. Crowd applauds the Hawaii effort.
Yeah, great defense by Hawaii. Better set that time by Barry to kind of calm down and get his hitters with much better options on those two sets.
Serving is McLaughlin. Gets it in, dug up by Hunt, waiting for it at Zemyak. Walker hits it off the block. And that's a point for Hawaii. That went off Ellis.
And Jim, this Hawaii offense looking a lot more crisp than it did last week. You see that nice hit by Walker. Walker with his first kill, and the only other player to get a kill other than Umlauf thus far in this first set.
Serving will be Welch. Knuckleballs it over McLaughlin. Ball is hit by Lawson. That's dug up. And the ball hit by Umlauf goes out. Good dig by Hunt. But to no avail, Hawaii could not score. It is 20-17. Hawaii at the second plateau. So they've got to hold it together to take set 1. Serving is Brian Cook from Santa Cruz, California. Into the net. Stanford at the most inopportune time, making a mistake.
Yeah, Stanford struggling right now from behind the service line. Hawaii just wants to keep the pressure on them and not make any unforced errors from behind the service line either.
Hawaii 21, Stanford 17. Timeout called by the Cardinal. More to come. Whenever you attend the University of Hawaii contest at the San Sheriff Center, you could win an upgrade from Bank of Hawaii for courtside seats. For more details on how to enter and win, visit the Stan Sheriff Center on game day. 21-17, Hawaii leading by 4. Their biggest lead in this first set has been 5.
During that timeout, you saw a shot of a familiar face. Chris McLaughlin, who's usually sitting right here next to you.
Chris, the assistant coach at Stanford. Serving Zemniak. The ball dug up by McLaughlin. Hit over and then blocked back by a triple block by Lawson. Gave him another opportunity and he took advantage of it. It is 21-18.
So Lawson hit this ball high off the Hawaii triple block, almost teed it up for himself. You see him go off Josh Walker's hand and then goes right back up and hits that ball into the backcourt.
Jake Neller serving for Stanford just into the game. And that time it was Dyer. Dyer went up and he was able to rip it.
Talked about Dyer and that ankle sprain, looking healthy on that last hit on that 31 set. Great pass by Hawaii. Allows Nate Zemniak able to run that quick middle attack.
Hawaii leading 22-18. Serving is Walker, and Walker puts it out. Boy, how many times have we seen that from Walker?
Well, that's something that he was working on this last week in practice. Coach Charlie Wade right now talking to him, telling him, take your time. You got this serve.
Lawson serving. That ball dug up by Costello. Umlauf. And that rattles around. Finally getting the ball over and down is Mahalski.
For the Stanford defense that time, picking up a shot by Umlauf. And Hawaii just caught off guard on this free ball opportunity.
Hawaii trying to hold on here in the first set. They lead it 22-20 over Stanford. Neller will serve again. Jake Neller from Westlake Village, California. 6'4". Excuse me, that's Lawson again. Lawson serving. That ball goes off. And that will be into the net. Hawaii with it now. Umlauf double hands it over. They go outside. Ball is hit by McLaughlin. A collision. A collision there by Dyer and also Costello.
Oh, missed opportunity for Hawaii that time. Usually when Nate Zemniak digs the ball, Costello becomes the second setter. He's saying to Brendan Dyer, I got that ball. Let me set the ball. Missed opportunity for Hawaii that time.
Into the net. Brad Lawson into the net. Hawaii had positioned itself to really challenge for the lead here in this first set. Dyer will go back to serve now for Hawaii. It's 23-21. Hawaii leading by 2. Dyer gets it in, dug up by Shoji. Berry goes outside, and a single block that time by Hunt.
Stephen Hunt with a tremendous block on that left side. His first block solo of the season. You see his number there. But one of Hawaii's better wing blockers going one-on-one with the MPSF Player of the Year last year and shutting him down.
Yeah, Lawson just hit it right where Hunt was. This is Aloha ball. And coming right back is Barry, the setter. Barry didn't want any nonsense. 24-22. Hawaii still has some wiggle room here. Barry will go back to serve for Stanford. Stanford must play perfectly. Gets it in, dug up by Hunt. Zemniak sets up Umlauf. That ball is blocked, but it goes out. Blocked by Mahalski. And Hawaii wins the first set 25-22 over Stanford.